Well, I hope that worked. Yeah, if anybody wants to submit an interesting opening animation, then I am open for volunteers. I just thought I'll throw whatever generic effects come in DaVinci Resolve at it. Now, you'll notice something terrible today. There is no chat on the stream, and that's because Streamlabs has, well, I guess it's collapsed entirely. It's done a Unity. It's entirely non-existent anymore, it would seem. It's now some massive big download you have to install to get things working. So, in the meantime, I need to find some alternative method of displaying the chat, although I only discovered this 5 minutes ago, so I can't do anything about it now. Again, recommendations would be appreciated. It's quite frustrating because I liked having the chat on the videos. At least it makes it look like there are people here other than just me. And we have got some people here. So for the benefit of any of those watching on the Java Next Slide Extra channel, we've got Standard In. Hello, Morris. Hello, Bixie. Hello. Danny Cron's here as well. And I think Baguettesub's lurking around in the background too. Right. You may also detect that I am full of a cold. In the UK, it is time for all of the children to go back to school. And of course, they've brought home nastiness with them. So I'm suffering a bit. And that's why we've actually moved a day. I was quite bad yesterday. I'm not much better today, to be honest. So we'll see how far we can get before I completely lose my voice. Yeah, you can do a lot in 5 minutes. I actually threw that video together in about 15 minutes. Can you tell? Can you tell? Right, what are we going to talk about tonight? Because, as you can tell, I'm full of a cold. I haven't actually been very well over the weekend. So I didn't get as much coding done as I thought. And I thought, well, what should we do as part of tonight's CodeZone? And I'll talk you through a few changes I've made with the selection tools that we did last time. But I thought it'd be good to have some community interaction, some community engagement, and talk about what type of tooling we're going to need. Start creating some sort of wanting lists, some to-do lists. Who else have we got? VAM 3.14RE. Greetings. Very well. Yes, apologies to the chat, anybody that likes following it along on the screen. We'll have to... I don't know what's happened with Streamlabs. If anybody actually knows, obviously there's something going on. Right? Has it been cancelled? Is it just not popular anymore? I certainly never got any notifications to say anything was happening to it. But it's a bit frustrating. So, let's have a look. In fact, I don't even know if the project compiles, so that's a good place to start, because I've got some errors in, but I don't think this file is actually doing anything just yet. So let's see what happens if I click build, and we'll take it from there. Oh, no, it does actually care about things. What's it caring? It does actually care about this stuff. This is a header file. Why does it care? Nothing actually includes this header file. Or does it? Or does it is the quickest way. Ah, yes, it does. There we go. Get rid of you. Right. What happens if you compile a completely blank CPP file? Should be all right, right? Good. Yes, I am full of a cold at the moment. So I never actually tried to use most of your PegXs and utilities, and I've just set up Transform View and the Camera 2D. Yeah, these things do actually help a bit. The Animate 2D, I think, is my particular favourite. Sigo's here, very good. Speedy, hello. Christian Seiler, hello. Rosso's here. Cut, copy, and paste is a must. Yes, I think that's absolutely right, and we will talk about perhaps how we can go about implementing that. So I've not made any sort of major leaps and bounds. In fact, I can't even remember what I changed. I did actually do some refactoring. I think I made it so I could actually start selecting things. Yes, that's what I was working on. So I integrated the mouse controls, and it sort of led me down a bit of a strange path in its own right. It's quite pleasant. I like it when you start getting to the stage where you can draw things. So the marching ants are working quite nicely now. If we want to put them back in, we can do that too. Because we kind of left the last episode hanging. We sort of said, right, we need to start thinking about how do we do tools and where are we going to put them. First time chat from Sammy Yutsu. Hello. According to Down Detector, Streamlabs is having issues. Maybe it is just it's gone down. It's unfortunate. But for today, I'm not messing around. Nothing I hate more than seeing streamers sort of organising their stream layout on stream. So as you can see, I added some rudimentary mousing because we didn't even get that far last time. And it's actually raised a few questions about how I want to do things anyway. So let's go and have a look, see if I can remember what the changes were. Well, this is going to be good tonight, isn't it? I can tell already. Right. So we want to find Lacon, GUI editors. There we are. Lacon. Well, actually, one of the things we didn't talk about last time, which I thought we should, because it came up as an interesting discussion point about how I'm actually storing the selected cells. I've decided to just bomb them all into a set, which has quite a few desirable properties. The alternative being you could have a sheet of memory saying whether a cell is selected or not. I think both approaches have advantages and disadvantages. However, I've gone down the set approach, and I forgot to mention that actually to get the set to work you need to be able to hash the vector integer 2D type. That's quite important for a set because it has to quickly sort of work out, do I already have something of this type in here? And it doesn't sort of iterate through by checking every single item, it does it with some clever hashmatics. And of course it's very easy to make a 64-bit hash out of an integer 2D, because it's just two 32-bit integers sandwiched together. And so that's my very complicated hash there. As long as it's unique for every integer value within that range, it's good enough. So in order to construct the set, I had to define this hash. And it's strange that I didn't mention that last time. It's quite an important part of how sets can work. What do you guys think about Unity? I've only ever used Unity once, and that was on the behest of some member of the community that I should at least give it a go. It's probably Gorbit. And I just found actually it just wasn't for me. It kind of took the fun out of what I wanted to do. I like doing the nitty gritty. I like the detail. Although saying that, as I'm getting older, I'm actually gearing towards actually wanting to generate more completed things rather than demos all the time. So I'm usually busy this time and day, but fortunately today I'm sick. Oh, I'm sick too. Hey, we can be sick buddies. There we are. From another key press. Hello and welcome. Yeah, we can all be sick together today. So what did I actually add? Okay, yes. So this was actually quite a lot of additions. So if we recall, the editor to handle the layer construction. So this is what we see in the middle of the screen. This is actually going to be some big behemoth, sort of mega class, and kind of out of necessity. It's not that easy to break apart. But it did occur to me I have got two fundamental user flows going through this device. The first is tile-based mechanics, which is exactly what we should see now, and the second is going to be geometry-based mechanics. Now, we've not even begun to look at that, so I'm not going to discuss it yet, but it does mean that the mouse and the selection behaviours are different between the two modes. And I didn't want to have to come up with a tiled editor set and a geometry editor set, because I want the user experience to be fairly fluid. And the layered construct here that we can see, all of the layers can vary in different types between being geometry layers or tile layers. Unity removes the fun and creative part of the game dev, in my opinion. Yeah, I like to do things the hard way too. I like the part where I think I know everything I'm instructing the machine to do. You never know everything you're instructing the machine to do. Not anymore, sadly. So we had to handle mouse events, and we did briefly look at constructing a mouse event and propagating it up through the system, but it required a slightly different approach. So let me dig into where that was. So we went through all these tile selection functions last time. I'm whizzing through, so I've just got a hair sort of caught between my headphones and my glasses. There we go. We did whiz through all of the tile selection stuff last time, but we need to handle the mouse. Now, everything that is interactive with graphics, and specifically using Pixel Game Engine 3 in the background, has some overridable functions. These are basic mouse interface functions. So this is right back at the top of the tree. We've got nav panel. So a nav panel here has all of these deliberately overridable mouse functions. And so basically everything we can see on the screen is some derivative of nav panel. So let's go back to where we were. And so when we click on something with the mouse button, it's mouse left down, we get the mouse coordinate in world space, because I think that's far more convenient than screen space, and whether the shift or control keys are held down. They may seem like arbitrary additions, but in every GUI I've built that's been mostly mouse driven for navigation, I've done a few professionally and for hobby, I've often found that actually you do always want these things bundled together. It's surprising how often you just have, in my case, my left hand and my pinky just on a couple of keys manipulating what the mouse is actually doing on the screen. So it's a very intuitive way for me to navigate around things. Pliskit, hello. The Unity licensing, I think it's all finished now. That right? They've almost entirely retracted on everything that they've done. I've not really been following it that closely. I'm just not interested. Let me just actually, whilst I'm here, Discord. I need to put the CodeZone chat just in case. And nobody ever posts in the CodeZone chat, but you never know. So we can start to sort of see the safety net layers that are in effect. Now, this is where a lot of people start to fall down with GUI stuff. Is it can get a bit tedious having all of the checks and balances going on. But it's worthwhile in the end. In fact, it's even more worthwhile to put in proper error messages in case any of these things fail. But because GUIs can happen in strange orders and orders you can't predict, it's useful to actually have this sort of error handling in place. And I apologise that I'm sneezing and coughing all over the microphone. It's not a professional look, but hey, look, I'm still here. I'm doing a job, earning a crust. So first thing we'll do is lock the construct, which we'll remember is a shared pointer to what is the layered construct itself. And then within this, we can have a selected layer. We've only got one layer at the moment, and so it's always going to be that one selected layer. We can choose then based on, remember we talked about that intermediate class in the last episode, is it a tile-based layer or is it a geometry-based layer? So for example, we would have geometry, in which case the mouse might be handled a bit differently. I've decided to have some additional functions specifically for tile domain things. In the background, and this is a bit cheeky, there are some additional sort of member variables that exist. So as you're moving the mouse around, because nav panel has a subclass of type grid image view, if we have a look at grid image view, hopefully I'm in the right place. No, not grid image view. It might just be grid view. Is it grid view? Yeah. Because it's a subtype of grid view, there are actually some additional cursors in the background. So as you're moving the mouse around, all of this snapping stuff is calculated depending upon the grid specified. Now, as we select all the different layers, these grid properties are going to change. So these values will also change. As long as you don't put that mic in front of another person, yeah, it's pretty bad today. And if I get to the point where I simply can't continue, I will cut it short. So where were we? Layer count. So yes, I've created some specific tile handling functions. I've lost my file. There we go. Let's have a look at what these do. Well, they're essentially mouse functions, but they handle things purely in the tile domain. And you'll see I'm actually enforcing this. I'm using integer types rather than floating point types. I did actually toy with the idea of, well, what if you wanted to have the location 1.5 in a tile? That's quite a common thing to need. But I've decided this time, no, a tile is a tile. It can only exist in integer space. So there is some conscious decision behind that. Maybe we'll regret it or not. We'll come back to this bit in a minute, but we can see that fundamentally, based on whether I've got the control key held down, and this is just a bit of debug test code, I can add or remove that particular tile from our set. And as I demonstrated a minute ago, we'll just let this compile. A minute ago, we can actually see, so I'm holding down the control key now, and that's removing items from the set. So by default, the set is configured to have all the cells in my small array here selected. And if I let go of control, then it's reselecting them again. And it's all boundary checked, and it's all quite nice. And that's because we're using a set. It just makes things easier. One of the other things, I know there'll be people here that don't often come, is that we've got rotation and sort of drawing that way too. And this is because we're actually doing things with a nice, reasonably complicated but robust object hierarchy. People say, oh, well, maybe you always need like ECS architectures to these sort of things. I think this is a nice case in point that actually by having objects which don't add too much functionality at a time, you can achieve fairly similar results. So I'm getting now all of the behavior of the prior classes, the super classes, in my ultimately derived type here. And I'm not needing to sort of do that deliberately. It's polymorphism doing its thing. So selection works quite nicely. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how that panned out. Drink some tea with some honey. Yeah. You don't work as a coder, do you? No. Not really. I dabble a little bit. But fundamentally, no, I don't. So it occurred to me then, how do we want to handle tooling in general? And I sort of, at the time, and I'm going back on this, I had a brainwave. I thought, do you know what would be really clever is if even the selection stuff was an externally scripted tool. And so I thought, well, what we need then is a base class for tools, and how. Let's see if I could show you as far as I got, because I started with it, but I'm not going to do it this way. This is a bad way to do it. We'll have some sort of base class for tools, and we'll every time we want to apply the tool to a particular tile, we'll call an external script, and actually there's going to be loads and loads of transactions, and selection doesn't necessarily work this way. In fact, this is just all just wrong. So, decided to think about it differently. I'm going to keep selection entirely intrinsic to the application, because I think selection it's fundamental, but I want there to be some rather esoteric selection methods, and I probably want those to be scriptable too. Long story short, I'm going to keep sort of two threads of user interaction in this case. One is the selection side of things, and the other is all of the other tooling. Things like once you've got a selected area, how do we fill it? That's also tooling. It's pretty random. I'm not that good. I scrape by. The reason it's a conscious choice, and I know it does tend to upset a few people. This I enjoy coding like this. I enjoy coding for fun. I enjoy the mental challenge. I enjoy the creativity. I enjoy the satisfaction of other people using my code. That's the bit that I enjoy, and I have programmed professionally quite a bit. And I got home, and the last thing I want to do is turn the computer on and write more code. So it's quite nice having a job where I don't actually have to code during the day. It's not entirely true. I do occasionally have to supervise some code, and I do occasionally have to write a bit of code. But fundamentally, my job title does not include the word software engineer. Now, I'm going to always have two tools in effect, and so this is why I've got an array here, which you can choose whether it's tool 1 or whatever. I don't know what these tools are going to be yet, but I thought it's quite useful to have different functionality based on left and right mouse buttons. If you disagree with this sort of thing, then do shout out. One script deciding what to select and another deciding what to do with a given selection. What about this approach? I think that's exactly it, Sander. Sorry, you've probably put it more elegantly than I have in my befuddled state. Basically, that's what I want to do. So there's going to be obvious selections, such as click with the mouse and rectangle selection. But then it occurred to me, what if I want a selection which is you select, say, 3 or 4 cells in the map, and then the selection script goes away and selects everything that is in one of those selected cells. So that's quite useful. So if you've got a scene of a dungeon, and every time you've got like a lantern, and you want to select all the lanterns in that particular level, you know, that could be deferred to a script. But what if you wanted to select several different tiles that represented that lantern and select them all over the place? That should be deferred to a script. So it is quite different to actually just filling those tiles in creative and interesting ways, whether it's auto-tiled or wave function collapse or just simply filled up or gradient filled, whatever. All those can be external scripts. So there's sort of two channels to go down. One that manipulates this selection set and the other that manipulates the data that is selected. So yes. Oh dear. I've not got any tea left. And I think the water on my desk is the water I had from the last episode, so I'm not drinking that. There's something swimming in it. Yeah, we'll give that a miss. So left and right mouse buttons are going to have tiles. Now, I actually want some sort of community feedback on this, because I'm quite comfortable with the fact that my application is going to need a left click, a right click, and a middle mouse button with a scroll wheel. Is that problematic? I think that's a good decision. Is that a problem? For me, no, and for my laptop, no. But if I'm using a trackpad, that can get a bit fiddly, because pinch to scroll and things never works quite how you expect it to do. You see, I like middle mouse for panning and zooming. I think it's a useful. Oh, hang on. Does that mean? If that's popped up, then that means Streamlabs might be operational again. That's interesting. Let's have a look. Let me check my Streamlabs link. No, you see, even if I click on the link for Streamlabs, it's just all doesn't go anywhere. But when I go to the root domain, streamlabs.com, it's just advertising some product at me, rather than actually being the service I was used to. So I think something nasty's going on there. If not control else. Why is that yucky? What do you not understand about that? You always unintentionally scroll. You have to move your finger because you don't have one already resting on it. It's about cognitive complexity. Well, download more cognition. I don't really like middle mouse for panning and zooming. I much prefer holding down the space bar for that. Yeah, customizable keybinds. They're a bit easier in GUI environments, because we will sort of add accelerators to all of this, but that for me is something we can add later on. The other thing that I kind of wanted to jump on in this was some form of undo. And I know that you've got to start designing that in early on, and we haven't. Not yet. My middle mouse button has been broken for years, and I have not bothered to buy a new mouse. Really like using it. Sorry if I'm reading out the text, it's just to benefit the video. Why not a command line interface user? Because command line interfaces are dead. They are not the future. In fact, they weren't the future 30 years ago. We evolved and got better. Time for an action stack. Yeah. Morris knows I like to throw the grenades out there and see who can wind up. Right, okay, going back to the if not control, no, you're absolutely right, that is terrible, but it's just some throwaway code to test a feature. It's not actually it's not actually how things are going to be implemented later on. Because I do actually want to defer this selection mechanism to scripts, which is what we're in the middle of discussing. One of the interesting things is I had to add in this tile enter and tile exit, and that's because tiles occupy space, and they occupy more space than in world space, where a single point is infinitely small. And what I didn't want to do was trigger hundreds and hundreds of events as we're traversing the cell with the mouse. And if you zoom in, the cell's even bigger, so you'd be triggering even more events. So I've made sure to to sort of detect only to send these events when we're going into and exiting a cell. I think that's better for tiles. It won't apply to geometry because you can see actually on mouse move we go down here. So mouse move's a little bit more complicated. Anyway, so for mouse move, fundamentally I'm checking, have I actually changed cell? So I am checking that for every single mouse event, and it's then that I call firstly on tile exit on the prior cell, and then on tile enter on the new cell. As an above average Tux user and enthusiast, I found this statement hilarious. Uh-oh, hashtag cancelled. Uh-oh, I can feel it. Yeah, tiles are going to be a separate thing altogether. So we're not handling the mouse the same way as geometry. And this starts to free us up to start doing some tooling. And the question I wanted to put towards the chat today is, what are we going to be doing regarding sort of tile editor tooling? What are the features that we quite like, even if they're in other editors? What do you think are necessities? Now, keep in mind, we've got several different types of tiled layer. Firstly, we've got primitive data types, so things like booleans, numbers, characters, real types, whatever. How do we actually manipulate those? How do we paint into that environment? What does the palette look like? I mean, for number tiles, it just has to be a number. Is it worth having shortcuts? These are the sort of things I think it's worth getting some feedback on. Yep, getting cancelled. No chat feedback today. And it was also at this point where I started to think, actually, I'm doing this sort of selection stuff as a tool slightly wrong. And then that's why I thought, well, we need to start thinking about tooling. And how do we interact with tooling? Now, I originally was going to have a toolbar going across the top. Let's launch the window again. So I was going to have, in this window, a toolbar filled with icons along the top. The trouble is with a toolbar filled with icons is the following. Firstly, I need to draw all of the icons. Secondly, it occupies quite a bit of screen real estate. And if you're not a qualified UX artist, my icons will be rather ramshackle and they may not convey their intended meaning very well. And so it might be difficult to actually navigate. It also occurred to me that if selection is a different thread of tooling to normal tooling, how do I sort of divide those up? No, toolbars aren't the future of Eldin. No, wrong again. Instead, what I've decided to settle on is a straight-up menu bar. Right? Text, but you need a mouse to select the text. Oh, yes. Right? So I think what we'll have is a menu bar just like this one, but actually inside this layered construct. Now, that's not something you actually see very often, is it? Sort of secondary bar menus on the screen. Just grab some icons from your font. Awesome. Yeah, I've actually got a good icon, a good icon set. It's because I don't know also what the scripts are going to be doing. So do I need a toolbar icon for every single script? In which case, do the users then have, if anybody contributes scripts, do they have to contribute icons? Are they going to satisfy some sort of guidelines? So it's just easier, I think, if I just have text. And why not? Most people that are going to use this tool can read. So it makes sense, I think. We'll just have it as text, and we can have them nice and descriptive titles as well. You can even have, when you hover over the menus, it pops something up in the status bar at the bottom. Yeah, ribbon menus. That's the one thing I wanted to avoid, actually. I really don't like ribbon menus. Grasham, it's a pleasure being here. Good evening to you all. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to... I've done a couple of Wednesdays now. Well, if pure text is... No, not pure text, right? So, for example, my marching ants aren't going to look very good in text form. And doing that in a command line interface, that's going to take you ages to type in all of those coordinates. It's not the future. Oh. Travis, hello. Yes, well, it's not going that well. I'm full of lurgy. I'm not very well. My chat has broken. We did an intro video, but the intro video is a bit of a placeholder. Morris is going to go. Morris's challenge accepted. So let's have a look at what we think having a menu within the layered construct is going to look like. Oh, excuse me. So I'm going to try. I need to try and find now some code which resembles adding a menu to something, and I think that's going to be in here. So this is my WX form builder file. The only reason I'm in here is I'm going to steal some bits. I'm going to steal you, and that's probably enough just to get going. So let's go back over to our layer construction. When we're creating things, I want to also add in my menu here. Menu bar, menu file, I don't know, we'll call that menu selection. Menu item, menu select all. Let's start with that to begin with. Menu select all is a new menu file. Menu selection is the most new. See, I don't want all that rubbish. Yeah, actually, you probably kind of do, don't you? Because I think control control and A is customary for select all, isn't it? Let's try that. Control and A, and then menu selection, append menu file, select all. Oh, wrong way. Menu bar. I'll get this right eventually. You can see the cold medicine is kicking in. Right. So what are these? I need a new menu and a menu bar. Let's go and add those in. WX menu. What did we actually call it? I can't remember already. Called it menu selection and menu bar. Menu selection. It's also raw pointers, and I know there'll be people just joining in going raw pointers, but we've had that discussion. They're not actually raw pointers, so everybody calm down. And it's just code. Doesn't matter. Menu was, yeah, menu bar. Okay, menu bar. Right. So I just want to see, was there actually anything else I needed to add to that? Do I need to do anything to make it appear? I can't remember what the code is. Menu, add separator, add separator. Ah, you see, I thought there was. Yeah, there it is. Set menu bar. I need one of those as well. Oh, we got a failed compile. What have I got wrong? Function append does not take one argument. What? Function append does. Have I added it to the wrong thing? So it's the menu that I want to append. So menu help about is that. Menu help is the menu. Oh, right, that's interesting. So I do actually have to append it. Look at that. Isn't that strange? So even though I create the menu item with the menu help parent, I then still need to go ahead and add the menu help to the thing. That's why I edited it round. I didn't think that that would be the case. So it's totally the wrong way around then. So it's actually was that. There we go. And this menu bar, what's going on? Has no member set menu bar, doesn't it? What did I call it? Menu bar. Yes, it does. Right, that'll be IntelliSense being a bit slow. Right, let's have a look at some chats. Don't modern terminals support mouse clicks? Well, don't have to be modern. Wow, more coding, less zoning out. Yeah, exactly. Oh, what's going on now? Set menu bar is not a... Indeed, it isn't, because fundamentally this is a panel. And are we breaking some WX widgets thing by saying we want to add to a panel a menu bar? Let's consult the docs. Right, class reference for WX panel. Yes, I'm wondering if it actually is only frames and things. What can we add to a WX panel? Ooh. WX panel's not a very interesting class. WX window. Oh, that's wow. Okay, that's a bit more sophisticated. WX window. Set focuses. No, no, no. Scroll bars. No. Sizes. No. Positioning functions. No. Coordinate conversion functions. No. Drawing functions. No. Event handlers again. Windows style functions. Tab ordering functions. Z order functions. Windows status functions. Tooltip functions. Pop-up menus. It's not quite what we want. Although it's, you know, it's not the end of the world. I may have to add some buttons or something. Right, okay, this could end up being a little bit involved just to get this to work. Mouse functions, miscellaneous functions. So I can't set a menu. But well, let's see what happens. What happens if we actually try to create a menu? A menu bar. Instead of null pointer, we pass in... Oh, no, I can't. There's nothing I can pass in there. Oh, this is interesting. Interesting dilemma. We've hit a flaw in the design here. Raw pointers to a smart pointer are still... Oh, okay, we're having smart pointer design. Oh, Dragoneye. Happy birthday, Dragoneye. The Dr. Octo. Hello, thank you. Just use HTML and CSS. Oof. Yeah. Morris, you know all those perks you get on the Discord server? I think they're slowly being eroded away. Everybody, Dragoneye is at least 4,000 years old. He's, well, and in all seriousness, is probably the oldest member of the Discord community. Sorry, Dragoneye. Right, so we've got a problem. Design issue. I can't actually put a menu on top of a panel. So what am I going to do? Let's just have a quick look at this again. So what's the construction? Oh, well, I'm going to compile it, but it's just all going to collapse and fail anyway. Might even crash at runtime. I have no idea what the consequences might be here. I don't want to do sort of context sensitive and just have the one menu. So what have we actually got? So this is a notepad control, and in that notepad control I'm basically adding in my layer con, which is an editor interface, but it's also multiply inherited from a grid view. And I think that might actually be where our restriction is, because I can't add normal widgets to this. It's entirely rendered. What I need to do is have some higher up tier to which I add this window. And then I can add some user interface buttons to it. Oh, okay. Are we going to try and kludge our way through this one? We're actually doing some code in CodeZone. That makes a change, doesn't it? So what I was saying is, at the moment, if we look at the construction of the layered things, it inherits from two things. It inherits from editor interface, which allows it to sort of interact with the rest of the environment. But it itself is a grid image view. And I wonder if that is too restrictive, and I need all of this to be within something else. So what is editor interface fundamentally? I don't think it actually has any GUI properties at all. Let's just have a quick look. Editor interface, because yeah, it's not a panel. It's nothing. Okay, all right. So, let's have a think about how we can make all of this broken and then work, and that should see us out. All right, let's try it. Let's go for this. What kind of changes do we need to make? Well, firstly, it could get really complicated, this, because all of these things are now no longer Oh yeah, it really could actually become quite problematic, this. Right. Okay. So fundamentally, I'm going to replace this with this. And as you can see, it now all stops, right? We have errors all over the place. So all of those things change. Menu bar, this doesn't actually solve our menu problem, but it's going to allow us to put at least something in that can resemble some form of user interface, and I think that's where we need to be. But for now, we're going to have to add in. I'll put that about there so we can see what's going on. LC, edit 2D, a grid image view. Now, this is the problem because I wanted to sort of specialize this a little bit. Well, you can see where that creating that menu bar leaked. Yeah. This actually might mean I might need another class entirely just to encapsulate the actual editing and rendering behavior. It's looking that way. It's looking that way. I really wanted to try and avoid. Yeah, see, all this selection stuff, I guess, shouldn't really have been a property of editor interface. This is all something else. Okay, all right, let's look at it like that then. Add a class. I will call this class. Well, what have we got here? So this is editor Lacon. It sounds like a bit of a strange name, that, but there's some reasoning for that. Okie dokie. Where does it put those files? Editor Lacon, edit there, and header file there. Backloads in there. Right, we need to do a little bit of jiggery pokery now. I'm just going to copy. I'm just going to copy all of that to begin with. I'll throw that in here. So this is how I like to code. It really is just sort of splat everything everywhere and work it all out later on. I don't actually need that bit, but I just needed the namespace because I didn't want to have to type it all out. Right, so this is going to be a edit. And we'll call this is a layered construct editor. And this is a WX panel. So let's throw in the very basics on that first. Oh, hello. This is actually, it isn't a WX panel, it's a edit 2D. Oh. Grid image view, wasn't it? That's what we decided it was going to be. Right, we have to start stealing bits of code from different locations. So this is now. We also need a graphics context in as well. And yes, I am actually going to link all of those things in too. Okay. Oh, hello. Oh, Dragon Eye, thank you. Cheers, man. Appreciate that. Right. That's our constructor, and that should be p layered construct. Right, also in here we need quite a few things now. So that's just going to come from panel, and that's got editor interface on that one. Render changes. Why is it complaining about this constructor? What's going on? Incompatible with... Okay, well, do you know what? I'm going to worry about that some other time. So all of these things, all of that, all of that, and all of that actually come out of here now. There we go. Keep you, but we'll copy you. All of that basically is going into here. Lots of green wigglies. That's okay. I can live with green wigglies. That one doesn't exist. There's nothing to change. Okay, so now we can populate the rest of the thing. Let's go to Laycon. So I've already written half of this code, so I'm not going to do it again. In fact, I could basically copy all of that and bang all of that in here. Get rid of you and then do some... Right, so this is layered construct. Oh, this is confusing, isn't it? Layered construct editor. Right, there is no editor interface, and that's not something we worry about. But we do pass on to our grid image view, the parent, the construct, and we store the construct ourselves. Yeah, okay. Let's just tidy this big long line up. So this is a massive change, isn't it? Look at us doing major refactoring live on stream. Exciting when it's like this. We'll come back to doing menu stuff in a second. That's where we're going to load up those assets. So now it's a case of get rid of you and you. So you should come alive. You. That all comes alive. Okay. So Control and H. Right, current document. We'll go through these one by one just to double check. Let me catch up with some chats just for a second. Imagine coding on a code stream. I know. It's just not like us, is it? Now, I do need a hot toddy. I really like a hot toddy. Elias, hello. Yes, I'm working on sort of a 2D Swiss Army knife editor. It's a long... Oh, we don't actually need that one whilst I'm here. It's been a slow-burning project I've had on the go in the background for some time, but I'm now keen to get it sort of out there. Right, let's see how much damage we can cause in one go. Do you know what? Let's just go for it. Bang. Oh, oh, hey, ta-da. Good. So now we've got our class that should still be doing exactly the same thing. We just now need to all glue it together. Glue logic. This is what I like doing. This is how to code. Right, so if we go to the layer con, so things we don't need on here anymore, on render. All of this tile selection stuff has gone, but I'm going to make it public in the other class. Right, that's all gone. What I need to add in now, what's going on here? Is incompatible with that of this. Oh, we'll figure that out later. My brain's not in sort of... Oh, it might just be because we've not got sort of finished off stuff down here. So now we've got our new class, which we called layered construct editor. MP editor, I'm going to call that one. So that's fundamentally the thing that we're going to create. So what I needed to do here is I was rather crudely using the grid view as the thing added to the notepad that makes it all the tabs. But it turns out I need some sort of intermediate glue class which behaves like a panel. So that way I can add other GUI controls to it. So I've taken out all the tile functionality and all that other good stuff and thrown it into this sort of a subclass. And we're going to add that now. So I should include edit 2D. They can't edit. There we are. File name choices are terrible. Come on, IntelliSense, wake up. Editor. Is that one? There we are. MP editor. Now, why have we gone to all this trouble? Well, WX buttons are demo. Right. So now I can create in. Oh, I've got a lot of code to delete. Just a second. All of this. Bye bye. Yeah, bye bye up to that point. And get rid of you. Grid image view, we're no longer inheriting from. That one could stay the same, and editor interface can stay the same. Now we want to construct our things. So WX box sizer, because we're going to have sort of two different things. I can't remember how box sizes are actually formatted, but we'll have a go. Sizer vertical equals new WX box sizer. WX vertical, like that. I'm going to add two components to this box sizer, button and our new thing. Do you use any C++20 features? Am I using any at the moment? I think I am. And I'm trying to think where. I can't remember. Yes, I am. It is actually being compiled with C++20 and it doesn't compile with C++17. So I must be using a feature somewhere. Maybe we can dig into that a bit later on. But right now, let me just finish this train of thought. So we've added a vertical sizer, and to that vertical sizer, I'm going to add my button. Demo equals new WX button. This, what should we call it? Test button. It'll prove a point. That proves a point about GUI design. Excellent. WX, everything else, that's fine, good. No instance of constructor matches. What was mdemo? Mdemo is a button. WX button matches the argument list laid construct star. Oh, do I actually need to cast this down to the WX panel? We actually need to add in the WX panel, don't we? Whilst we're here, WX panel parent. Yeah, and I think I need to be explicit here with what that is. What's going on? What have I actually called this thing? Button, and this is a WX panel and editor interface. Oh, have I got a typo somewhere? No, button's okay. Oh, that's fine. ID of the number doesn't matter. Oh, is it just because I've just missed out the third argument? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Fine. Yeah. Good spot though. So I don't actually need any of that. Yeah. Good. So the next thing to add is the editor. New OLC edit 2D editor. Yeah, it's a long namespace. Now, which was it? Editor, layered construct, or layered construct editor? And we'll pass in this, the context, the workspace, the layered construct itself. P layered Oh, is it just p construct with it? Right. Sizer vert dot append, and I want to. Oh, what's going on? Add. We're going to add to it the button we just had, and we're going to say I want it to. I can never remember what the order of these things are. We'll just go and have a look at something that's already got it in. There we go. That's it, basically that one. Let's have a look at what these are. So if I go back to my layer con, there we go. So what this is saying is basically make it. In fact, I'm going to change that to 0 because I want my button to shrink. And I want it to have a margin of 5 pixels, but I want it to expand in the non-sort of growable direction. Sounds like really complicated and awful, that, doesn't it? And this one, MP Editor. So this is what I would normally use something like Form Builder to do. And just do it all automatically. This.set sizer. Come on, IntelliSense, help me out. Size of vert. It's fine. Layout. Right. Lots of changes have just all happened in one big hit. Chances of success are slim. Yes, Starfreak. Well, not much left, and I'm very, very. Oh, hang on. Errors. Oh, it's because I've already got my hash thing. I thought I did take that out of one of the files. Why is it complaining I've got that twice? I thought I removed this. Did I not remove this in the end? Lacon edit H. Yeah, I did. Has already been defined. Okay, I'm not sure where. Oh, have I got some sort of circular dependency going on? I've been copying and pasting header file inclusions. Yeah, the IntelliSense, it's not slow, but it's slower than the pace at which I move around the file system anyway. I might not move around it accurately, but I'm not slow. And so it can take a little bit of a while to catch up. What's going on? So it's now saying I've not got the hash defined. Is it just it's defined in the wrong place? I will take you out there. I will put you in there because we're actually calling the set from here. There we are. Try again. Oh, this one. It's always a bit hit and miss, yeah. If there's a car alarm going for the entire code zone, and it's the most horrific sound possible. Oh dear me, what's this one? Well, we've missed a class somewhere. Okay, sorry, we've missed an implementation. Which one have we missed? Work object updated. We did actually take that out, didn't we? That's this one here. That's okay. So for now, I'm just going to bang that in there. There we go. Yeah, that got deleted, but we needed to keep that one. We're getting closer. CPR can. Oh, it's online. Thank you. Right. Click play. Please work. Hey! I see. I know what I'm doing. There we go. Right, so what we've got is exactly our functions as before. So that's all still working. That's nice. But now this is a separate panel within this overall editor tool. You can see there's our big button, test button, that proves a point. So what we can now do is actually add tooling to this tab. There we go. Yeah, I tend to do just one stream a week, really, following the progress of this We actually did some code. So now, disappointingly, this isn't going to be a menu unless I start going into the world of WX widget hacks, hacks with an X. So, and that might actually be where I'm going because I really quite like the idea of a text-based menu here. I think it goes against every UI design principle known to mankind, but I think it's what I want. I think it's what I need. We wrote a big chunk of code in that, and it all just kind of works straight away. So I'm pretty pleased. A good, solid refactoring session there. Oh, skew mode. Yeah, inadvertently created skew mode there. That's quite nice, isn't it? See? Look at that. I forgot that was there. I should probably take that out. Don't really know what I'm supposed to do with skew mode. Yeah. I copied a huge bunch of code. I did copy a huge bunch of code, but it was the intelligence and deftness at which I manipulated the guy. I sculpted the code, right? I had the code there to begin with. That was the raw material, but I sculpted it into something better, into art. And it became this button at the top of my screen. And a beautiful button it is too. Right, we did actually start the stream with the introduction, which I'm currently looking. Anybody wants to volunteer to do me a 20-second animation to introduce CodeZone in some interesting way? I'm more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to have a go. So I'm going to exit by playing the intro again because I don't have an exit-tro video. But it's been good fun. So thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll be back on time next week. And until then, see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.